Welcome to the Network Table Podcast. Here's your host, Luke Van Every.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Luke Van Every, and thank you for joining us on the Network Table Podcast. Before I met this human being we're interviewing today, I thought I had high positive energy, but Paula Jenkins is on another level, and I'm so excited to have her here today to tell her story, but don't take it from me. Paula, what's going on? Welcome to the table.
Hello, Luke. Thank you so much. I so appreciate being here.
Of course. Thank you for taking the time. Paula, tell us what you do and what you have going on at LFS Consulting.
Absolutely. So hi, everybody. So yes, as Luke said, I am Paula Jenkins, and I am the owner and founder of LFS Consulting, LLC. And I focus on two things: leadership development and financial literacy. On the financial literacy side, it really is about trying to educate people around budgeting and where your money's going and savings. There's a whole bunch of people that don't talk about money, but they have a whole lot of anxiety around it and just don't know where to start. And on the leadership development side, it's really about trying to empower people and empower teams, make teams better, smarter, work harder. And also, there's some managers who could use a little bit of help. There's some good ones out there, some ones that could, just do a little bit better. So I speak, I train, I coach, I consult, and most recently, really focus more on the speaking side, but I've done it all.
Speaking side, so you like some public speaking?
I love some public speaking.
Love some fucking speaking. Your energy is just, it's toxic. We had so much fun the first time we spoke. Remember what we talked about? You got that letter and you were in a bad mood. What'd I tell you? That they're going to send you another one. And they did, didn't they? I know they did. You don't have to admit it. I know they did. So tell us about your last public speaking. I'm sure it was virtual, or have you gone back to in-person public speaking quite yet?
Oh, how I wish. No, actually it was virtual. And actually it was 2 hours ago. I'm actually doing a 4-part leadership series through a school called Parkland College. And I did the first one today, and it was on growing. 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, based on the book by John Maxwell. But the next one is in August. It's around intentional living, but it's been virtual. And that's okay. You know, I recognize where we are. I can't wait to hit the next stage in person, but I recognize where we are right now. It was virtual.
Very cool. And I'm sure you do a fantastic job virtually. So we have zero worries there. So that's great that you were able to still come on after 2 hours ago of doing public speaking. You are incredible, but
so sweet, Luke. So sweet.
So I can 100% agree on, management. I've been in management myself, and I wasn't perfect, but I learned from mistakes, and I had an incredible mentor that, he used to tell me, you got to learn, you got to mold. Not everybody is going to work as hard as you do because you care more. Would you agree that most employees leave bad management, not companies? Absolutely.
100%. I agree 100%. I did. So yes.
Yeah. I'll raise my hand. I was one of those one time, but that's another. So you're founder and CEO. I love it. How long have we been the founder and CEO?
Great question. 3.5 years. 3.5 years.
Standing clap, 3.5 years. That is incredible.
Yeah.
How do you make that jump?
That's a really good question. I think it is about me recognizing who I am, knowing it's time, and recognizing the value you bring. The jump, I think, was probably easier because I worked for 20 plus years in corporate, but it really was about, I knew who I was, and not to say it's been a perfect journey, because it is not, but I think the decision was, it's time. It's time.
So when I made the jump, I had my individuals that I had to call, right? Because I made the decision, but I was still taking interviews, so I hadn't made the decision. Did you have that one or multiple human beings to call and say, hey, I think it's my time?
Honestly, it was only two people. Two.
And you called and you said, listen, this is what I want to go. I want to do it. And I'm assuming they supported you 100%.
Yeah, that'd be my husband and my daughter.
There you go. Well, those are two amazing people to call. All right. I mean,
that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So the financial piece, this is just, it's so important, right? But it's so difficult for us as human beings to sit down and do it, right?
Yep.
The bills get paid, then the fun happens, and then more fun and more fun and more fun, and then you're like, I'll save later.
Yeah.
What is the easy free advice you'd give away to a young entrepreneur such as myself to do? One thing that we should do right from the get-go.
So don't overextend yourself when it comes to expenses. I think when we start off, we think we need everything and we think this is going to help. And sometimes look, paper and pen is okay. It's okay to have an Excel document. It's okay to have a Word document. I think we get real caught up in I have to have this and all these shiny things. And the reality is you don't. So don't start off overextending yourself. Keep those expenses as low as possible.
Low as possible. I love that. God, I'm a marketer's dream. I see something shiny and
sign me up, right?
Sign me up. My wife gets me all the time. She's like, oh, I'll say, oh, that's cool. And she's like, marketer's dream. I love a good shiny product.
Yep.
No, I'm going to get 10 sales calls right after this.
Yep.
All right. So 3.5 years. Congrats on that. And that's an incredible, a lot of us get into this and then a couple of months are like, oh, I got to go. And you've stuck it through. But you've been around, I don't know, on the earth 23 years past that. So what'd you do before launching your own business?
Yeah, so I was in corporate America for again almost 20 years, and it really was. And I was in the benefits outsourcing arena. For those who don't know what that means, it's where companies hire a company to handle their employees' benefits. I did pensions for about 10 years, and then I did health and welfare benefits for about 10 years. My last 10 years, and I think that. I will always say was a good experience for me for many reasons, but before I left, it was clear that it was time for me to do something different. And sometimes when companies change, when companies make decisions to buy and sell, that means your leadership changes.
Yep.
And sometimes when your leadership changes, you quickly recognize it might be time to leave. And that's what I did. And I have multiple, stories about why I had to leave. And it really starts with when your new manager doesn't listen. And it's one of the reasons why I do what I do, is because, again, this is how people leave. You don't listen. And I remember my first interaction with this particular manager, and I talked about how I've been doing this role for a while, and it's I'm applying for some other roles, and I know it's time for me to move on to the next thing. And the immediate answer, and I even said, I'm really direct. I'm a very direct person. I don't hide, I'm transparent.
I like it.
And this manager said, I'm direct too, and we're gonna make you like your job. That was the answer I got. And I immediately recognized we're gonna have a problem. Because I told you I'm direct. I told you I'm transparent. I told you it's time for me to move on. I've been doing this a long time. And the answer was, yeah, I'm going to make you like your job. So that means you didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to anything I said. And let's just say about 6 months after that, things got worse and I decided it was time to go. So yeah, I'm real passionate about it.
Make you like your job.
Yeah.
You just dropped me 2 more levels of liking this job from that one statement. Wow.
Yeah.
So did we leave? First of all, what is a pension?
Good question. Good question. So for some people who have no idea what that is, because you're right.
Let's do. I do know what a pension is, but
I know what you mean though. So it is a retirement benefit that for many years was available to employees, and for most employees who had pensions, it was fully funded by a company. It was their retirement benefit from their company. And as time has gone on, we've moved away from pensions, and it's all about 401ks. Great question.
Now, let's not do the comparison of the 401k to the pension, but are you advocating for a 401k? Hey, is this an important tool to use financially?
Absolutely. It just can't be your only one.
Give me a second to write this down.
It can't be your only one.
Can't be the only one. Got it. Not going to retire on a yacht with just a 401k.
No, you're not. You're not.
All right. So we have a very confused manager that doesn't know how to listen. Do we go from that company straight into self-employment, or did we stop on the way?
Good question. So, I'll tell you. So part of my story is, your health gets impacted by stressful environments.
Oh, yeah.
And there came a point where I was definitely stressed out. And my husband actually said, just quit, just leave. And I remember this very vividly. On a Tuesday, he said, you're leaving Friday. And I said, I will not do that to us. Because again, when you get to a certain level, you're making six figures, you don't just say, I'm done. That's not the smartest thing. Sometimes you have to do it, but you got to think through some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so instead, I ended up going to a doctor's appointment, and my blood pressure was 184 over 140. And my doctor said, you're going to die if you do not change your environment. And I will tell you, Luke, those are words, again, that haunt me. Because in that moment, she looked at me very seriously, obviously, you're going to die. So I ended up going on a leave of absence. And during that time, for about a month, I had to really process what just happened. I had to process, what am I going to do? I have to process what's next. And in that month, I decided when I go back, it's time for me to leave. And so within 2 months of going back, I negotiated some things, and I ended up leaving. That happened in October, so I left in January of the following year.
Man, how bad I would love to be a fly on the wall with you negotiating. That would be awesome. Yeah, that's a scary situation, right?
It is.
And it can go in so many different directions.
Yep.
Yeah. You still utilize those words in that moment in life to help with your positivity and your direction and your drive to this day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of those things where you have to be very true to yourself. And so sometimes I think lots of us stay in positions, and we stay in companies, and we stay in relationships, and all these different things, because we think it's the right thing to do, or it's easier to stay. And the reality is it's doing damage to us. So whether it's high blood pressure, whether it is whatever it is, it's probably negative, it's toxic. So you have to make this decision at some point and say, this is not good for me. And that doesn't mean things are going to be awesome and great, because let me be clear, my first year leaving, it was tough, but boy, I would never go back to that. I have a sense of peace that I can never, ever trade in. So sometimes you have to just do what makes the most sense in that moment. And I'm not saying it's easy, but you got to do what's best for you.
Right. No, it's not always the easiest thing. How much I wish my wife would come down those stairs right over there and be like, quit your job. Mm-hmm. Control, delete, I'm out, bye. But yeah, my wife is just, we have been chasing her career and we'll never stop. And I always tell her, I'm like, 2 more promotions, man. I'm playing golf for a living.
Yeah.
She hates that joke, but
yeah.
I learned a lot from her and how she handles it, right? Watch her go through law school and handle the stress.
Yep.
And go into the first job where it's just nonstop all the time, and watched how she managed it, because I didn't do a good job of it. And like you, I had to sit back and say, my mental health is important, right? I have to have time for it. And I think everyone gets caught up back to the shiny life of people who are already successful. And I got to get there. I got to get there now. When in reality, you got to take that time, because it can run into a situation like you do. Well, I'm extremely excited that you made it through that situation, because now I get to be your friend, and that's awesome.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think you're hitting on a really important piece of this, which is the mental health piece. I think we don't talk about it enough, and what it does to us. And I will be the first one to admit, I was not a big person to talk about it. I certainly wasn't talking about therapy or therapists. And I am the biggest advocate of a therapist now. And that situation taught me how important it is. And I continue to talk to that same therapist who got me through that period of my life to this day on a regular basis. And I am a believer that that is a powerful way to ensure your mental health is going in the right direction.
110,000%. You can speak to family, but there's gonna be that wall, right? They're always gonna tell you it's okay. You can go and speak to friends, but there's still gonna be that barrier.
Yes.
I've counted so many times where I'm going to talk to my therapist that I speak to, and I'm like, I'm right. Nope, I am right. And I leave the meeting like,
I'm wrong.
I'm just heated. Like, I got him today. I got him. Nothing. This meeting is mine. And I just walk out of there. My brain is racing like,
Yeah.
I wasn't right. I wasn't even a little right.
Yeah. Perspective.
It amazes me sometimes, because we love to, I don't really care. I'll debate this with anybody. I don't care. We love to talk about ourselves. Everyone. We do.
Yep.
But then there's a stigma against going and talking to somebody about yourself. Normalize talking to somebody about the flaws.
Yep.
It's okay. No one is perfect. Normalize talking to somebody about your flaws. I'd advocate it for 130,000%. Man, I'm using a bunch of weird percentages today.
You're emphasizing. I get it.
Oh, okay. So that's an incredible story. That's a long time in one company. I have a question about that. Do you see a problem with this younger generation wanting to move a lot more than the older generations did?
That is a really good question.
And it's a really situational question, but I'm going to hold strong to it.
No, here's what I'm going to say. I get it. And just to be transparent, within those 20 years, I left my company for a 2-year period and came back.
Right.
And the company who I left, they ended up buying the company. So yeah. But here's what I will say. I don't necessarily find it problematic. I actually find it's unfortunate, because you don't necessarily get some of the experiences that being at a company for a much longer period of time can give you. I think what has happened is this generation recognizes that some of the things that they saw their parents or grandparents go through, okay? Loss of pensions, loss of jobs after so many years. The loyalty is different. I used to say for a long time, I have a loyalty problem. My loyalty problem is I was way too loyal to companies. There have been times I have said, I wish I would have left far earlier, but my experiences would have been different. And that's an important component of this. To be able to say I have 20 years of corporate experience, I've seen a whole lot. I've managed a lot of people. I have had to manage a lot of different situations. When you can say maybe it's only 2-3 years, you just don't get the same. I don't care what anybody says, you don't.
Right.
And so Is there a right or wrong? No, I think what has happened again is when you see what happens to your parents, when you see what happens to your grandparents, you say, I don't want that. I don't want that. Now, this idea of changing jobs every 1 to 2 years, I have a problem with that. I do, because then the expectation is because I leave this job, I should be a manager. I should be this, I should be that. Put in the time, learn, understand, go and have some mentors, model other people. You're missing out what I consider just some very fundamental things when there's expectations, because I've put in a year or two, I can now be this. Put in a little bit of work, I'm not saying 20 years, but at a minimum, we should be talking about 3 to 5 years, really put in some time and understand what is going on before it becomes it's time to move on to the next one and expect a $30,000 raise.
That's exactly what I was looking for. I love it. And I have a nephew that just graduated college, and I was home a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me, I'm going to start looking for work, and what's your advice? And I said, my advice is to you is every single interview that you go to, when they ask you, do you have any questions? You ask them, how do I get your job? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you ask them, how do I get your job? And are you going to develop me to where I could take your job one day? If the answer is no, that's not the right place to be. You need to be a part of a company that wants to develop you. I don't care if you're going to be a cashier at McDonald's. How are you going to develop to be the manager of that McDonald's one day? But it also starts with you. You have to want to have that mentality. It's not just going to happen. Because if you're not pushing for it, you're not trying to develop yourself in and out of work. Guess what? Somebody else is.
So, yes. And I think that's an important piece of when we talk about growth. And this is what the seminar I did earlier is you have to really understand what you're trying to get to. And when you do that, you can ask the right question. You can understand this is not the right environment for me. It's just not. Right. But if that's not something that you want to do, okay, that's fine. But truly understand what is it that you're trying to get to. And it also means you have to be patient. One of the things that I talked about is you got to be patient. So this idea, again, within 1 year or 2 years, I'm going to take your job. No, what you want is development. What you want is growth. What you want is somebody mentoring you. That's what you want. And if you have that in the company, that's an awesome thing. And if it's not there, then it's not the right fit. But at least know what you want.
I want a company to train me so well that I could leave to be a competitor, but I take such good care of me that I stay.
Love that, Luke. I love that.
I do too. But now I'm so I got to develop people that can be. I wanted to go back to one thing when you left, because it's come up in my journey, that I'm still in my first year, and I have my ups and downs and good days. And some days I'm like, man, what did I do? And other days I'm like, I'm the best ever at this. Nobody can beat me. And you got to ride those highs. And I get asked a lot, how'd you get up and go? Why doesn't everybody get up and go? Well, it's difficult to walk away from comfort. Right? A 6-figure salary, unlimited amount of commission, benefits paid through. That's hard to say, comfortability, I'll see you later. What for our listeners, somebody who's on the edge, thinking about going, what would be one piece of advice to help them take that leap?
It's almost a combination. I think it's, you got to know who you are. In planning. And I know that's too, but hear me out. So part of this is there are many people who can say, I'll be a great entrepreneur. And let me be clear, I was one of those. And being in it is very different than what I thought. And so when you have an awareness of who you are as a person, when you have an awareness of understanding what this really is, and again, you don't know it until you're sitting in it, but have enough self-awareness to be able to go and speak to other entrepreneurs, have enough awareness to go and ask them, tell me what your day is like. Tell me what the good days, tell me what the bad days are. Why is it bad? Understand, can you handle that? There are some things that I think we just assume that we can handle because I can do that better. I can do that better than that person. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The other piece of that is planning. You got to plan. And when I say that, I'm not just saying a business plan. No, I am talking about you have to plan. Really understand what this is. Make sure you are getting people around you who, and God bless all my friends and family and all that, but unless they are an entrepreneur, they do not know what this life is. And so make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are entrepreneurs. Make sure you understand the expenses around what it takes to be a business. Also, be patient. And so again, that awareness in my first year, I wanted to quit because I was like, this ain't for me. This isn't for me. No, it's not. And I remember people saying, Paula, it's not even been a year. I was like, yeah, I get it. I just don't want to do this, and that's just not reality. It's like, you got to have some awareness of who you are. Yep. And there's just some things we also recognize as entrepreneurs we don't want to do. And so you have to know that about yourself. You have to know that. And when you don't, it makes it 10 times harder for you to be a great entrepreneur because you're not understanding that that's a part of who you are and what your DNA is.
Preach. That was glorious. I would add one thing. You have to realize that you're going to forget what federal holidays are. I sat at my desk at 9 a.m. this Monday and started working, and my wife came down. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, it's Monday.
I'm working.
There you go. She was like, you know what? I should have let you go and send emails and just had no one respond to you all day.
Amen to that one, Luke. I've done it too. Yes, I have.
I've sat down at this desk multiple times this year already.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Paula, because you are incredible. All right, back to LFS Consulting. Tell us who you are looking to help. What is a perfect client for you?
Yeah, and that's a hard one. And I'll tell you why. I think what I have learned in this last year is, and I know nobody likes this word. I know that. Pivot. I know that.
I love pivot.
Do you
I love the word pivot.
Okay. Everybody else just does not like the word, but
I love it.
We've had to pivot, and I've had to pivot. And so there's some things that I've learned that maybe who I was going after last year is a little bit different now. And so I'm actually still fine tuning that. But here's what I will say. I am really looking at organizations and individuals who want to focus on having a better team. They want their team to work smarter. They want their team to work better. And a lot of times you think about that from what does that mean? Maybe there's some communication issues. One of the things that I use, I'm a DISC consultant, so I use the DISC personality assessment. Other things is understanding how do you make sure that you're connecting with your team, understanding how you inspire your team, how do you value your team. And so for those who are going through it, whether it's a small company or a large company, is, wow, I need some help here. That's me. And sometimes we're just saying, I just need somebody to come in and maybe inspire, or somebody to come in and help my team and talk to my team. Or maybe I need somebody to coach my team. Even on the financial literacy side, I recognize for some businesses, they're always trying to find ways to, encourage their employees. Well, bring somebody in, bring me in. I can talk about financial coaching and budgeting. That doesn't take a whole lot of effort. So I think there's this place of where I'll just say is, I don't say everybody, but what I will just say is for those who really are trying to figure out how to connect and inspire and value their team, I'm the person. Your team deserves it.
I love it. That was incredible. Yeah, and definitely, if you're having a bad day, call Paula. She's gonna make it. Just call her. Paula, I'm having a bad day. You will have a better day.
Thank you.
I put the true compare mark on it, guaranteed. So, if we want to get in touch with you, we want to talk to you, we want to bring you in to help with all the incredible work that you're doing, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. I think the best thing that we know is social media. I'm on LinkedIn. It's probably the best way. Paula Jenkins MBA is what my name is. But my website is lfsconsult.com. So that's Larry Frank Sam Consult I'm also on Facebook at LFS Consulting LLC. I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Twitter under LFS Consult. Or you can look me up on social media as Paula Raquel on Facebook and Instagram. But probably the best way I would just say is my website or LinkedIn.
Beautiful. Before we go, I have one last question. We can sit and we can debate and talk about all the bad through 2020 because there was a lot of it, so we're not going to do it. If you had to take one positive thing from 2020, what would it be?
Ooh, one positive. I love the outdoors now.
Yes.
And I will tell you, for me to say that is pretty huge. I was not an outdoor person. I just wasn't. And I have a completely different appreciation for being outside. I walk every day. And there is something to be said for the sun and the trees and the animals. And I'm serious about that. Like the outdoors, I have a true appreciation for it now.
I love it. See, there's some good things that came out of that. I love the outdoors, and I'm so excited that that's your answer. It couldn't have been a better. No other answer would have made me happier. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Paula, I can't thank you enough. You are an absolute incredible human being. It's an honor and pleasure to be your friend. And it's an honor and pleasure to have you on. If you need Paula, reach out to her. See you again soon.
Thank you so much, Luke. It was an absolute pleasure.
For more information, please visit truecompare.peo.com.